Good afternoon, everyone. It is great to be here. It is great to be in Detroit. And congratulations to the Blue-Green Alliance for this gathering and this conversation. And when I say this conversation, I mean not just this conference, which is really striking in the breadth of considerations, the breadth of activities, and really the illustration of the impact of your work. But I mean this conversation that you've really created over time in bringing these organizations together to provide solutions to some of the greatest challenges that we as a society face. And your work in doing that, in finding common ground, is enormously important and enormously valued, and certainly valued by those of us who do this work in the administration. You know, you're talking about transportation, you're talking about housing, you're talking about energy, and you're laying the groundwork for the future of America. You know, last time I was in Detroit was for the opening of the North American International Auto Show. And that day there were 27 new product introductions. I mean, it was an absolutely striking display of innovation and ingenuity, and really the promise of American technology, the promise of American manufacturing, and the great work that can be done. And you know, the striking thing about that show, and there are many, you know, really interesting pieces of it, but the striking thing was the scale of the innovation, how so much of it was focused on efficiency and the inflection point where technology finds itself today, and the transition really to advanced vehicles and advanced fleets. And the other striking piece of it was that for all of the participants from around the world who came to Detroit, there was a nod and an acknowledgement and a recognition of U.S. leadership. And that is so important and so vital, and I think something that we all can take enormous pride in. Now, the work that you are doing and the work that the administration's doing is at really the heart of those efforts. The President, in his State of the Union, laid out a blueprint for an American economy that's built to last, one that's built on manufacturing, on skills for American workers, and on a renewal of American values. And central to that from the start of this administration, has been the President's vision of a clean energy transformation and American clean energy and renewable energy. The President has said the choice we face in whether we make this transformation, he said this on the first Earth Day he was in office, is not a choice about energy and the environment versus jobs. It's a choice between prosperity and decline. And we can continue to import petroleum from around the world, or we can export U.S. leadership and U.S. jobs and U.S. innovation. And he said, America can be that nation, America must be that nation. And that's been at the heart of his commitment and of his desire and efforts to create a renewable, a sustainable economic recovery, one that's built to last. So the President laid out a blueprint for American energy security. And part of that is his belief that everyone in our country deserves a fair shot, everyone should do their fair share, and everyone should play by the same set of rules, and that a recognition that the circumstances we find ourselves in are a make or break moment for America's middle class and those who are working so hard to reach it. And really what's at stake in this is the basic American promise that if you work hard, you can do well enough to raise a family, own a home, put a little away for retirement, and help to create a better life for your children. So a key part of this is clean energy. And a key part of this is finding ways that help promote our environment, jobs, our security. For industries like wind, solar, advanced batteries, it's critical that we continue to invest and that we don't cede our leadership to countries like China and Germany, because we need these jobs and we need these industries here. We need them in America, we need them in Detroit. So the plan that the President has is really an all-of-the-above approach, which doubles down on homegrown, on alternative energy sources, designed and produced by American workers. We recently released at the White House last month a progress report on the President's blueprint for a secure energy future. And if you haven't seen it, I strongly commend it. And it shows that since the start of the administration, our dependence on foreign oil has gone down every single year. And in 2010, it fell below 50% for the first time in 13 years. In 2011, it fell to 45%. And it's at the lowest level it's been since 1995. And that's enormously significant and important progress. Now, in doing this all-of-the-above approach, where we work to reduce our reliance on foreign oil, we also are working to, on the efficiency side, to save family and businesses money at the pump and to continue to position us as the leader in clean energy. Now, on the production side, oil production in the U.S. is at an 8-year high. And we continue to develop our oil and gas resources, but to do it in a way that is responsible. We also know that we need to develop clean energy and industries for the 21st century and make these investments in wind and solar and in new jobs. So, starting with the Recovery Act, the President committed to and made a $90 billion investment in these kinds of renewable energy, in innovation, in the development of wind and solar, and in the creation of hundreds of thousands of jobs. And these have put us on track to double the level of renewable energy generation in the United States by the end of this year, which is an enormous accomplishment. And in fact, in 2008, the United States reclaimed the position as the world's leading investor in clean energy. So we know that there are ways that we can help to create the conditions by which clean energy can prosper and thrive and take root in the U.S. and create jobs. For example, we recently announced an agreement that we forged with the governors of Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, and Pennsylvania to examine and streamline efficient and responsible development of offshore wind in the Great Lakes. And unlocking that resource could yield enormous economic and environmental benefits throughout the region. There's enough potential in the Great Lakes to produce more than 700 gigawatts of energy from offshore wind, about 1/5 of the total offshore wind potential in the United States. And developing even a small portion of this potential could create tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, could generate revenues for local businesses, it could reduce pollution in our communities. And so we're working hard to reduce red tape, to find the regulatory processes that can get this industry up and running in a fully responsible way. As I said, we're working to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, and one of the ways that we can do that, obviously, is by using less of it. And perhaps the most important piece of that is the work that the administration has done in cooperation with a number of vital stakeholders to address fuel efficiency of cars and trucks. Everyone notices the price at the pump. Workers, farmers, truck drivers, small business owners, those who drive their families from errand to school to errand. And well, fuel expenditures climbed very sharply over the past 20 years. Fuel economy standards in the U.S. stayed flat. And when President Obama took office in 2009, fuel economy standards for passenger cars were the same as they had been in 1985. Fuel economy standards for commercial trucks didn't exist. So last year, we worked with industry, we worked with our friends in the unions, we worked with states, we worked with our colleagues in the environmental community, we worked with consumer groups, and we were able to announce a framework and a proposal for historic new fuel economy standards. And when completed, these will be one of the President's signature environmental accomplishments. And these standards would double the fuel efficiency of cars and light trucks by 2025. They would save $1.7 trillion in fuel costs. They'd promote innovation. They'd eliminate about 6 billion metric tons of carbon pollution. Now, thinking about this in relatively simple terms, this means if you fill up your car every week, after the standards, you'd fill it up every other week with a new vehicle. And for owners of electric vehicles, which are a key part of this, alternative fuel vehicles, you might not have to visit the gas pump at all. And these proposed standards are estimated to save about $8,000 over the life of a typical vehicle. They were backed by 13 auto companies, representing more than 90% of U.S. auto sales, and by the groups that I mentioned, and I really want to thank the Blue-Green Alliance for your work to help clarify issues as we develop those standards and continue to lend support. And these standards represented really an unprecedented level of engagement between federal agencies and stakeholders that the President really asked if they would do. Now, several of the features of these standards are really quite unique. One is their duration. They extend through the year 2025, which really is an acknowledgement of the importance of regulatory certainty and the scale of the investment that is necessary given the potential for new technology and the inflection point that we find ourselves in around that technology. Another feature is the flexibility that's inherent in them, designed to allow for manufacturers to be able to find ways to comply, but not to affect consumer choice and the variety of vehicles that are offered to consumers and their workability and durability. So these are important features, and the last that I'd mention is the focus on creating incentives for new technology and really the deployment of innovative technology across the fleet. And this kind of technology continues to hold the promise for American leaderships and American jobs. So we are working hard in the administration after hearings across the country and hearing from hundreds of thousands of people. And we are working hard to soon finalize really what will be the most significant accomplishment on reducing our importation of foreign oil and reducing greenhouse gas emissions and continue to put the industry on a sound pathway forward. We also finalized the first of their kind fuel efficiency and greenhouse gas standards for heavy-duty trucks, and those will save businesses roughly $50 billion on fuel as they're implemented. And at the same time, we've pursued a suite of initiatives that are designed to complement the vehicle standards and help ensure that we develop advanced vehicle technologies here in the U.S. And that includes investments in advanced batteries, supporting something like 30 new advanced battery and electric vehicle component plants, moving from just having 2% of world advanced battery manufacturing capacity to 40% in the year 2015. And these are technologies that not only will be important for this transition to advanced vehicles in the United States, but will be the source of export as well. Now, in the federal government, we are an enormous consumer of goods and services. We have about a $500 billion a year bill for goods and services. And we have a vehicle fleet of some 600,000 vehicles. We have an enormous real estate portfolio, so that we recognize that what we do can both lead by example and help to inspire and create new markets. 2 years ago, the President signed an ambitious executive order on federal sustainability, and it directed federal agencies to reduce their energy use, their fuel use, their water use, and pare their greenhouse gas emissions. And we have doubled now the number of hybrid cars and trucks in the federal fleet, and last year the President signed a memorandum that directs agencies to purchase only 100% cleaner alternative fuel vehicles by 2015. So as we work to integrate sustainability into the federal government, as we have targets for our use of energy, this will be an enormously important part of the effort to create jobs. Now, we do this for buildings as well, and we've invested some $2 billion, are investing some $2 billion in energy performance service contracts to help make federal buildings more efficient. And we're working with the private sector in some great partnerships to help reduce energy costs for American businesses by some $40 billion and increase building efficiency by 20% in our Better Buildings initiative. So that's obviously, those savings are an example of the kind of money that can be put to far more productive use in hiring workers and inventing new products. Those partnerships between the CEOs of companies, mayors, university presidents, and the government are helping us to lead the way to efficiency. Last in December, the President, joined by former President Clinton and 60 CEOs and mayors, announced $4 billion in commitments around the country to retrofit office buildings, schools, city buildings, and commercial buildings. And we are working through energy performance service contracts to do the same across the federal government. You know, the Bureau of Labor Statistics recently released a report that found that more than 3 million U.S. jobs were linked to the production of green goods and services in 2010. Jobs in manufacturing, clean energy, construction, and more, and 80,000 of those jobs were from right here in Michigan. But we need more progress. We need more jobs, and we need to keep seeing growth in our economy. And President Obama has called for Congress to pass a clean energy standard, to create a market for innovation, to eliminate billions of dollars in subsidies for the oil industry, and we continue to move forward with these smart policies and with critical investments. Now, we know we can't do this without good ideas from partnerships and collaborations such as the Blue-Green Alliance, and we know we can't do it without your leadership and your support. And we've seen throughout our history how American ingenuity lights the way, and we are confident that we can do this again. We can make sure through these efforts that more products, more services, more good green jobs are made here in the U.S., and that we have this pathway for growth forward. So I want to thank you for what you do. Your support is absolutely vital to us, and we really do look forward to working with you towards a healthy and prosperous future for the United States. So thank you.